So let's talk about replacing a Vesta panel. Now in an ideal world, I could take down each panel and replace this one by itself and then build it back up. But let's simulate if we don't have that time. This is in the middle of a 40-foot wall by 10-foot high, and we have to replace this one without taking everything down. So here's how we do it. So this is a difficult piece. I have an overlap on one end, and then I have my J channel on the other side. So I have two set points that I'm gonna need to work with. And I'm gonna show you, this is probably one of the more difficult pieces you'll ever have to replace. So to get started, and let's say there's a dent on here or an issue, what we're gonna do is actually knock a hole into this Vesta panel. When I cut this piece, I'm gonna wanna cut it about 1 inch or 3/4 of an inch from this seam, and then I can get my oscillating saw behind there and cut off the nails. So I have my hole set up here. What I'm gonna try and do is actually use my snips, open this up a little bit so I can use my shears to cut a consistent line across this panel. I get to the end of my J. Now I need to pull this bottom piece out, so that in order to finish snipping this last piece, I'm gonna go by hand. Now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna go in with hand snips to try and clip this end piece so I can pull this bottom out. There we go, we got the bottom piece out. Now I'm gonna show you, using the oscillating saw, how we're gonna cut the nails in here to take this piece off. So I like to mark with a pencil on the house wrap where my nails are, so it makes it a little bit easier cutting them off with an oscillating saw. We're gonna try and run this as tight to the wall as we can so the nails don't protrude and stop my piece from going in when we replace the panel. All right, so I just pulled out this top piece. Now I'm gonna use this to get my same exact measurement and cut a new piece to fill in here. Now this is a number 2 panel, so if by chance you happen to have a number 2, it's always great to use. If not, just make sure to try and do something different. I have a 6 on the bottom here, so I'll try and go with either 1 or 5 or anything in between that. In order to make this work, I'm gonna have to put this panel into the J channel first, and then I'm gonna overlap it on top of this panel. Now it's a little bit different because originally this panel overlapped and we were behind it, but in order for it to fit in, the difficulty of that, we're just gonna go over top of it. It'll blend in with the wall. The important part to note is I'm gonna have to cut this hem back on both sides. On a typical factory edge, it's about 1/2 inch. We're gonna have to go back about 3/4 of an inch in order to get it to fit over top of it. Now I'm pretty close here as I got rid of the folds of the metal, so I'm just gonna clean these edges up to make it look really nice on the overlap. Now this is where you really wanna focus on the details. Take your time to try and match a factory edge. If you have an existing piece, look at that factory end and see how detailed this panel is cut. This makes all the difference when we're overlapping our seam. It makes it look really nice, really clean, and it can blend in with all the other panels. Now what we recommend is actually using a little bit of tape to protect the edge of this, so then we're not damaging it as we wedge this new piece in. Now what we're gonna do is first insert this nailing flange underneath the bottom here. We're gonna get this underneath it. I'm gonna overlap this seam to start. I'm gonna slide it into the J, and we should have a nice overlap here, and then we'll work on popping the piece in the bottom. As you can see, the panel has a little flex to it. I can pull out the center a little bit. I gotta flex in that bottom hem. When I get about halfway down this panel, it started popping in place. Now I know we didn't nail this piece, but the beauty of it is, it's held in place at 2 separate points. It's locked in up top, it's locked in on bottom. It's not gonna go anywhere. The only thing is, you wanna make sure you have it at a good length so it's not gonna expose a gap in here, but we had plenty of coverage on this overlap, and it's into the J channel about 1/2 inch. The overlap looks really good. It's a pretty tight seam here. You have just a little bit larger gap because we had to cut back on it, but that's the important part. You can see I cut pretty tight to the original factory lines, and that's what makes this panel lay in super well and look really nice after you're finished replacing it.